Right, we're just starting turn 11. It's been quite eventful so far. The French are consolidating their position in this part of Saint Armand, and their square and their skirmishers have started shooting at these Prussian hussars and, of course, a few casualties on them. I expect them to possibly step back this turn. Meanwhile, in the centre, the rest of these French brigades, supported by the Young Guard, are now starting to position themselves to assault the second building in Saint Armand. We'll see how that goes, but the Prussians are now moving up their reserves. So we've got this 1st Prussian regiment starting to move 2 battalions in support of the village, and the 3rd battalion is changing direction and looking to join them. The Prussian artillery battery continues to take harassing fire from the French skirmishers and might think about falling back. Another Prussian brigade is starting to move towards La Haye to reinforce the troops in position there. And if we pull back, we can see the 3rd brigade is now closing in on the other part of Saint Armand to potentially do a counterattack and try and seize that. So Prussian reserves now in full swing. So we swing across the other side of the table. You can see there's a notable absence of French cavalry. The first of the 2 regiments was cannoned to death and disappeared. The 2nd regiment also went hesitant this turn, so it retired in a voluntary basis, pulled itself back behind its own artillery battery, and then Charlie decided to do a speculative long-range shot and took off the last couple of casualties on it. So now the totality of the French cavalry have now broken, leaving a bit of a hole in the French centre. As the French general, I'm relatively comfortable about that. I don't see any counterattacks going through there, with the focus on retaining the villages. Over on this flank, the development this turn has been the Landwehr battalion that was facing off this brigade. Did try a charge but took a volley from the French column, unfortunately took a couple of casualties in a discipline test, failed its discipline test. So perhaps fortuitously for Charlie, it's now fallen back with its colleagues, so we have the Landwehr battalion now part of its regiment, forming a reasonably solid line behind the second part of the La Haye village. We're now going to roll the combat, as the French are having another go at getting into La Haye. So we'll see how this combat goes. We'll do this one live. 4 dice for me, attacking. And Charlie, how many for you?
I only have 5.
Okay, let's roll and see what we get. So the French have caused 2 casualties.
And I have caused 2.
Okay, so we're both on 2. So we get a second round of combat.
But now we both get -1
Both
dice.
now get -1 dice. So I don't have the penalty for attacking a built-up area, but I have the penalty for the number of casualties I've got. So I still have 4 dice against Charlie's 4. So let's do the second round of combat. I've caused 2 casualties again.
I've caused 1, but that was...
I think on the second round of combat that might be enough. We'll go and check the tables, but they might have the French in La Haye for the first time. That's the end of turn 11. So turn 11 and the Prussians are moving up on the village. The French have formed up a line and a skirmish screen and now occupy the village, so that will be a tough combat. Over here, in the other part of Saint Armand, 2 more French columns have charged in, so we'll do that combat in a second. Then as we look across the rest of the table, the French have also occupied the first village in La Haye, and those units have now formed up. But we have a Prussian counterattack about to go in, and the other French brigade is hesitant. So we're back in a second and we'll see how the combat into the second part of Saint Armand goes. Okay, we'll roll up for this combat, starting with the French. 1 casualty, and for the Prussians, Charlie?
4 casualties.
Oh my gosh, that's a clear victory. They'll be retreating. And that looks like the French haven't taken Saint Armand this turn. On we go with turn 13. Alright, in turn 13 are we, Charlie? The key action is another assault on Saint Armand. The Prussians are now counter-attacking and have assaulted the village, and before the French were able to swap their very damaged battalion for a better one. The Prussian Young Guard are looking to reinforce that unit in Saint Armand and assault the other village. Prussian artillery fire continued to do some damage. and the French infantry in line is now in severe danger of breaking. Otherwise, Charlie's remained hesitant, unfortunately, on his right flank, so La Haye still looks firmly in French control. We'll just do the rolls for the assault on Saint-Armand. French, no casualties.
And the Prussians were deadly to what is destroyed a battalion.
2 casualties, so that does destroy the battalion, and the brigade will falter, and the Prussians will reoccupy Saint-Armand. Alright, turn 14. There was Charlie just running around, getting ready for the combat on turn 14. As we can see, the Prussians have recaptured this part of Saint-Armand, but the French from their far right-hand brigade have assaulted the edge of the village. So we'll do the French attacks first. French cause 2 casualties. Prussian defenders.
Cause 1 casualty, but we fight again.
We fight again, yeah. So I'm now on 3, and you're on 6. So if you're assaulting the village, you get 5 dice this turn. You fight with 4, Charlie.
Let's put my other battalions in this combat now.
Yes, you can do that.
So, and he has no casualties, and he has 5 dice.
Yeah.
So I have 2.
And then I'll throw my extra battalion in as well. So I will have to have 2 more dice than I've got here. This is going to be a bit bloody. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I've got 2 more dice to roll. So that's 5 hits. 6, 7 casualties. Wow. And then Charlie.
1, 2, 3.
I think the Prussians have won. So 7 casualties to 3. We'll go and apply those. I'll come back in a sec. Right, in the assault on La Haye, we'll do the French defenders. They do 2 casualties. Let's do the Prussian attackers. Go for it, Charlie.
1 again.
So we can fight a second round of combat. You're only on 4 now, and I'm on. I should have. Yeah, no, that is right. I'm on. How many casualties do you do on me? 1. I'm on 7.
Yes.
All right. So, we can throw our second battalions in if we want.
But Jordan has 5 casualties.
And yours has got 6.
No, that's my. That I have 2 supports.
You do.
So I have 1 5 and 1 4.
Okay. So well, let's do the first 2 battalions, and then we'll do the extra ones. So I've got 4 for my primary defensive battalion. I cause 1 casualty.
I got
3 casualties.
My next battalion.
We'll just mark the casualties up.
Okay.
You're on 4 and I'm on 10. I'll put 3 there. You can get me some more blue dice, could you, Charlie?
Yes. Should I get all of them?
Yeah.
Okay. I've got
Okay, so
4
for my
dice.
reserve battalion, I've got 5 casualties, so I'd only have 4. And you've got 5 dice.
This is my I have 4 right now. I have another one coming in too. Nothing.
Nothing.
But my 5 is going to come in, so.
Okay, and then my other one is a.
That one isn't coming in. It's not on the right black part, I don't think.
I think it could. Well, it's within support range. So it's got 5 dice as well. So we'll roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I've caused 3 casualties.
I've caused 2.
2. Okay, let's work all this out. Right, we're on turn 15. If we just do a quick look across the line, the French brigade on the far right-hand flank is still formed up by the stream, but artillery fire from the now formed 2 Prussian batteries on the hill caused sufficient casualties for the occupying battalion of Saint-Armand to break and retreat. So the village is currently unoccupied. Next turn, we see who gets initiative. I think the French probably will get in, but they could well be just thrown out again by the Prussians. Over here, we're about to go into combat as the Young Guard try and assault the other village of Saint-Armand. And then as we look across the rest of the table, French are still firmly in occupation of La Haye and moving forward towards the second little built-up area in La Haye. while the Prussian brigade that had had an assault last turn and got thrown back has just reformed. So we'll do the combat down here. So it's 5 dice for the Young Guard and 4 dice for the Prussians. Let's see how we do. Young Guard only get 1 casualty.
And Prussians get 3.
Prussians get 3. The Young Guard have been thrown back. Not this turn. Charlie hangs on. It's still in the balance, this game, with only 3 turns to go. Right, we've just completed turn 16 and we're getting to crunch time. 2 more turns to go after this. The Prussian Lutzow battalions are forming up for assault on St. Armand, which was just occupied by the French just before they come in. The unfortunately Young Guard went hesitant, so they should still be able to get 1 final attack off against the other St. Ormond village, but Charlie has sensibly brought in a new battalion and dropped out his previous defenders who were on 8 casualties. And as we look across, Charlie has taken a lot of casualties in his attacking brigade over here, so he may not get in, but he has just spotted that the battalion actually occupying the village is on 10 casualties, so incredibly fragile, and they were hesitant, so I wasn't able to bring in a stronger battalion to replace them. On the far flank, that French brigade has started to withdraw. Pretty much every battalion is on between 8 and 10 casualties, and the musket fire from the militia was enough to drive the 2 probing battalions away, and they've just decided to withdraw now rather than just collapse completely. So at present, as we enter turn 17, the French hold 1 of the 2 villages of La Haye, and they hold 1 of the 2 villages of St. Ormond. So it's a draw at the moment. Charlie is also eyeing up doing a charge with his lancers, who've just formed march column to charge over that bridge. So we'll see what happens in turn 17. Right, turn 17, starting on the other side of the table. This brigade indeed is starting to collapse, not through combat but just musket fire. It's seen 1 of its battalions evaporated from defensive fire from the village, so it will now have to do a Fulta test. In the centre, the village of La Haye, the French do occupy, is looking reasonably secure. They've moved a stronger battalion into the village now. It is unformed, but those Prussian battalions threatening it across the other side of the village are in a pretty bad state with, let's see, 9 and 10 casualties on the front 2 battalions. So they'll probably collapse under the fire from the skirmishers and the defensive fire from the village, so nothing really to fear there. Over in the centre, it's been a disaster for the French. I shouldn't have brought the Young Guard. I should have gone for the line battalion reinforcements, because the 4 battalions of the Young Guard have again gone hesitant, moved nowhere this turn. They only have, what are we on, Charlie? Are we on turn 17?
Yes.
We only have 1 turn to go. We'll be lucky if the front battalion manages an assault on the village. We'll see whether that gets in turn 18. And over here we get to the crunch, the other village of St. Armand. The 2 Lutzow battalions have just charged in. I have 1 battalion defending, Charlie's attacking. I just need to check, because I am unformed, I lose a combat dice. So I am down to 3 defensive dice. So I cause no casualties.
And I cause 1, so we fight again.
So that's a draw and we fight again. So I'm now on 5 casualties.
So I have 5 dice and another 5 dice for my reinforcement division coming in.
So I have 4 dice for being unformed, and I have 2 reinforcement divisions coming in, but unfortunately 1 has 10 and 1 has 9 casualties. So on 10 and 9 casualties, they both get 3 each. So I'll just get another dice. Okay, let's roll away, Charlie. This could be the critical crunch of the game, because whoever breaks here is not going to get back in. So I've caused 1, 2, 3, 4 casualties.
So I got all of my hits. I have 4 dice, so I need to keep remember I have all my hits. So 1 more push in from these guys who are coming in.
So how many dice did you roll for that one?
5, because they
won't. You've got 4 hits.
Because they won't get a
But they're attacking a built-up area, so they only get 4.
But remember, on the second turn, it doesn't matter.
Oh right, so they get 5, yeah.
And this one doesn't do as well, but just do another
1.
casualties. So they do.
So you've done 5.
6 casualties in total.
Well, no, there's
5 in there.
4 there. Yeah, but I've already taken the casualty from the previous round. So you got 6. So you've won by. Unfortunately, you've won by 1. So I think you kick me out of the village. On with turn 18. Right, we're at the end of turn 18. I think this is the first game where we've actually played the duration, and it is a draw. So the Lutzow battalions managed to successfully break into St Armand, and they have broken the French brigade that was facing them. The French had to take a falter test and had a retire result. Their 3 attacking battalions were all on very high casualties, weren't able to hold off the Prussians, and all had retreat results. And when they retreated right to the table edge. So for that brigade, we simply have 1 battalion left, and all that artillery on the hill has had to retire off the table. So it was down to the young guard. We had 3 ADCs for the French, so we had to do 1 falter test for the brigade that got thrown back here, and the Prussian brigade on the other flank that was fleeing also had to do a falter test, which it passed, but that used up 2 of our ADC dice. So we couldn't get the young guard to do an infantry assault, which was our initial hope. So they just assaulted with 1 battalion, which went into this part of St Armand, and they won. They won the combat, threw the Prussians out. So the Prussians hold this village, the French this village, and over on the far flank they hold that cluster of houses there. Still difficult to see where the battle will go. Really, there's not much left on the table as a viable units, other than the 4 battalions of Old Guard. They're facing off against 3 battalions of Prussians in this village. And over on that flank, everything is pretty much chewed up, including the Prussian troops. In fact, the landwehr, right at the back there, are probably the only viable unit. Prussians also still have their 2 artillery batteries on the hill that have done sterling service. So I think even if we played on a few more turns, position probably wouldn't change very much. So all in all, an absolutely brilliant game. Really close, and a draw. Well done, Charlie.